And hello all of my fellow nerds out there, it's Oracle Nerd Richie and welcome back to Our Life Beginning and Always. Last episode we sort of left off in this hotel room in step 4 and we're going to be continuing from where we left off. Yawning, your muscles felt relaxed and warm enough that sleep threatened to pull you under again. Morning. Cove's voice brought you back to consciousness. The heat made sense now. You knew the comfortable weight against you was your boyfriend. His arms were draped around you, and his fingers were lightly drawing shapes in your pajamas. You twisted over to his face to face him fully. Morning. Did you sleep well? I did. The expression on his face had softened with a content sigh. You felt his index finger lightly trace the shape of your heart. Subtly trace the shape of a heart. There's nothing but good dreams when you're around. Aww. You squeezed him adoringly in your arms, you snuggled against his chest, you played with his hair dozily, you gently kissed him, you let out a soft breath, you slipped out of bed to start the day. Oh, come on, that would be rude after a compliment like that. Come here, you. Pulling him closer, you hook your chin in the warm space between his shoulder and his neck. Cove nuzzled his cheek into your hair, holding you in return. Neither of you were making any moves to get up and actually start the day. It was sweet and comfortable to be wrapped up in Cove. You could indulge this just a little while longer. Eventually, enough time flew by that there really weren't any minutes to spare. There were too many people waiting, so you both crawled out of the sheets together. Standing up, Cove took a few seconds to stretch. He glanced over at you with an animated expression. I'm really looking forward to your mom's anniversary dinner tonight. It's gonna be fun. I think so too.
I mean...
This whole trip is great, actually. Being here with everybody is like having another chance at being a kid, and we can do all the stuff we used to, and all the things we never did but wanted to. Yeah, the world's our oyster, Cove. I do not want to think about being little again. It's good to be back. Sunset Bird won't know what hit it. You nodded. The world is our oyster, Cove. Jumping up on the bed, you stood in a power stance at the center. We run the course of our lives. We're in control of our destinies. Oh my god, why does this sound like a freaking Kingdom Hearts spiel? It sounds like a Kingdom Hearts speech. I don't know why. Exactly. Well, we better get back to it, huh? We've still got pretty full schedule ahead of us for your mom's big day. You smirked. So much for being a kid. So many responsibilities. I don't think seeing our friends really counts as responsibilities, Richie. Fine, you got me there. After that, you and Cove moved around each other, busily getting dressed and ready for the day. Light laughter and chatter filled the air the entire time. Bags were packed and phones were sought after. Suddenly tossed Cove his phone when he hadn't been able to find it. You handed Cove his phone when he hadn't been able to find it. You slapped Cove's butt as he stepped past you. Okay, I would not pass up that opportunity. You somehow lost a single sock, but Cove found it behind a headboard. You shook your head at Cove when he ran a hand through his hair instead of brushing it. Come on, you know I can't pass up an opportunity. If I pass by my significant other, I probably would do that too. I won't lie, I probably would do that. You know, I think the more pleasant thing is just to say we handed Cove his phone when he hadn't been able to find it. Thank you. He plucked the phone from your hand and slid it into his pocket. You struggled to keep your giggles in, and Cove raised a questioning brow. What is it? I watched you go past it probably 5 times.
Seriously?
Are you serious? Mm-hmm. Groaning, he resumed what he'd been doing before the phone crisis. When Cove's back was turned, you double-checked that you hadn't misplaced your phone either. You hadn't. There was nothing else stopping either of you now. In minutes, you were hopping into your ride and heading back to the neighborhood. It was another beautiful summer day in Sunset Bird. You couldn't resist rolling the window down so you can absorb it all during the drive. Cove sat across the seat from you, near the opposite window. His gaze was locked outside, catching all the old landmarks the vehicle was passing. Your spirits rose even higher the moment you made it home once more. Eager, you hopped out of the car and let yourself inside. Your moms knew you were going to be there that morning. But the second you made it past the threshold, an excited scream nearly scared you out of your shoes.
Hi.
Wait a minute. Wait, that's Lee? She looks so different. She looks way different than I remember her. Hold up. I need to pull up a comparison at some point. Hold on. Yeah, she looks way different. I'm looking at her older version. Her hair was much longer before. Now it's much shorter. She looks really awesome. I like this design. Richie, you're here, and guess what? I'm here too. While your heart rate settled, a broad grin quickly took over your whole face. Since your cousin moved out on her own, you'd noticed that she'd really found her own groove. She was still the same loving person she'd always been on the inside, but she expressed herself in new ways. Lee was strong, kind, and smart. Over the past few years, she graduated college with a degree in history. Ooh, that's interesting. Though last you heard, she was pursuing her dreams, working towards getting into the music industry. Okay, do I have to lie? I have to say the truth. You look great. Thanks. She beamed, putting her hands on her hips, Lee giving you a once-over. I'm not the only one. Shaking your head, you laughed at the appraisal. Lee's gaze narrowed with scrutiny. Don't be modest. I mean it. You look happy. Lee leaned to the side to glance past you and meet Cove's eyes. The grin on her face widened while she waved. Hi, Cove. Hey, nice to see you, Lee. I got in practically at dawn. It was a whole thing, but at least I made it here alive. Oh, and there's Liz. Lee exhaled and slumped her shoulders to emphasize how exhausting the ordeal was. Behind her, Liz made her way over. She crossed her arms to the scene. I'm here too, in case you were wondering. Nope. I'm always wondering if you're there somewhere. I wasn't, but thanks anyway. Lee giggled and Liz narrowed her eyes at your remark. She seemed to stand up straighter, the demure smile on her face didn't move. It wouldn't kill you to say hello, you know. You neither, but I'm glad to see you too. Thanks. The feeling's mutual. Another friendly shout rang in the living room. It was as cheery as it ever was from the many times you heard it over the years. Good morning, family. Ma! Your parents came out from the side hall together. Morning.
Well?
Now that everyone is here, I do have a little something to mention. Ma put her hand lovingly on her wife's. Mom leaned her head into Ma's with matching affection. We're all still having dinner together, but Pam here has actually made plans to take me out to brunch to celebrate our anniversary. Just the two of us. Pleased, she hooked her arms around Ma's waist.
Sorry
to push you out, but I'm sure this group of mature grown-ups will be able to entertain themselves for an afternoon. We don't need to find a babysitter or anything.
Totally.
Yeah. Have fun, moms. Don't worry about it. We can survive that easy. Enjoy your brunch. This works out, actually. An afternoon open means that there's time to meet up with Terry and Randy. Hopefully they're free today. Ooh, I kind of wonder what Terry looks like now, since they officially came out as a man. This is gonna be interesting. Your two school friends still lived around the area. They knew you were coming for your mom's party, but when and how you might arrange to see each other wasn't set in stone.
Sounds good.
Definitely, we should call them.
Alright.
I have some people I'd like to say hi to as well. Honestly, I really wish at some point we get to see Shiloh. I want to see Shiloh again. I miss the boy. Liz had her cell phone in hand, ready to get her plans made before she was even done speaking. Arching an eyebrow, she then directed the next part at Lee. Would you want to come along? We've missed out on a lot of cousin bonding time in the past.
Yeah!
I'd love to! It would be an honor to hang out with you, Liz. And whose fault is that? No fair, Lee's meant to go with me. I hope you both have fun. Don't worry, fun is my specialty. Chuckling, Liz smirked. We'll try not to have all the fun. Don't get into too much trouble. You shook your head and Liz winked. Then she glanced back at her phone and rapidly typed a new text. Excellent, it's settled. She squeezed her wife's hand. Her gaze took in the whole room, ecstatic to have the house full again. Today is going to be perfect.
Yes.
I think so too. I truly couldn't be happier with my wife, my children, and our whole beautiful family. It's already a wonderful anniversary. There were awes and sweet comments when the group gathered around the couple of the hour. Seeing how your moms were, you couldn't help but hope that when you got to their age, you could be as proud of your life as them. Ugh, I can't read at all. After that, you enthusiastically began setting up plans to meet up with your friends. They were both able to come see you, having kept their schedules free for this, and you couldn't wait. Cove was also speedily sending text messages. Since you conveyed the plans to Terry and Randy, you imagined that he was letting his parents know what he was going to be up to. The group continued to chat and catch up until it was time for your mom's brunch and your big meetup with your friends. Soon enough, everyone was out the door, looking forward to their fun-filled afternoons and the dinner later that night. Once outside the neighborhood street, you looked at Cove. He stood at your side with a bent smile. Terry and Randy were driving into town, while you and Cove were traveling on foot to meet them at an easier reach spot. Man, we really are kids in Sunset Bird again, having to rely on other people who actually have cars to really get anywhere. Now we're stuck walking to whatever is nearby. You laughed. You no longer. No, we're reverting back to infancy. We never drive anyway. You shook your head. Honestly, that kind of sounds like me. I have my driver's license, but I usually don't feel like driving. I usually just walk everywhere, and that's fine with me. I'm okay with just walking. We never drive anyway. Cove rolled his eyes, landing them on you amusedly. Fine, you're right. I do like walking. Let's go. You bounced forward several steps and shot Cove a playful look over your shoulder. With that, the two of you began the trip down the old road. It was a casual stroll into town, and before you knew it, you were at one of the large parking lots in Sunset Bird. It was the one that used to have a little crepe stall. Remembering the delicious smell, you got lost in thought. The store did well enough that it moved into a full-size building a couple of years ago now. You'd seen pictures. It was very cute. The parking lot was now just an empty lot that cars could theoretically park in. Not many took the offer. Cove pulled out his phone, texting Terry and Randy in the group chat to let them know that you'd made it. Someone must have answered already because Cove gave you a status update while still staring at the screen. Randy texted, "I can see you." Oh, Rick! The blare of a car horn cut you off, and you and Cove both turned towards the source of the noise. One of the windows rolled down.
Buddies.
Wait, sorry, I think I may have talked over that. Let me hear that again.
Hey, buddies.
Is that Terry's voice? Oh, okay. I already love the voice change. The voice change is amazing. Your friends had arrived, making a spectacle of it as expected. Being the only car meant that they got to pick the lots, so they pulled to a stop in front of you. The window closed back up, and instead the two front doors popped open. Terry and Miranda stepped out onto the pavement. How they look. She looks adorable! Look at her! Oh, the little hat is just the cutest thing. Hi, Cove. Hi, Richie. With a cheery wave, Miranda skipped towards you. Terry, on the other hand, walked speedily over to Cove, squeezing him into a hug. A quiet laugh escaped Cove along with the majority of the air in his lungs. He didn't fight the constriction, but instead gave Terry's back a pat with a large grin spreading across his face. Oh! Okay, yeah, they don't look all too different, but like, I see the difference. I see the major difference. I'm proud of it. I like it. When you let go of Cove, Terry came up right to you. He held his fist up for you to bump it. He smacks his fist with a high five and make a turkey. You know what? For all time's sake. Your shoulders gradually began to shake harder while your lips twisted teasingly. Confused, Terry's eyebrows pinched together like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Gobble gobble. You wiggled your fingers, thinking them as long, colorful tail feathers. Terry snorted the moment you imagined the image clicked to his brain. Gobble gobble. Hey, look at all of us. We're all here. My God, dude, Cove is so much taller. Oh my God, why is he so damn tall? What is he, like 6'3" or something? It felt so nice to have your friend group reunited as adults. Terry was currently a full-time lifeguard down at the busier beach, a town over. You were proud of him. He'd help a lot of people in his line of work. Miranda took Cove's hand in one of yours and in the other. Her eyes alight, she gave you both a gentle squeeze.
So great.
I'm so happy to see you again. Hey Terry. Hi, Miranda. He answered assuringly. It was clear that he was equally glad to see them. This reunion was long awaited. For a while, Miranda had been working hard as an assistant at a school while continuing her own education. She also kept busy running a small online shop, selling crafted knickknacks she made. Saint, it's good to see you too. I missed you. It's been forever. You look so cute as you smiled. You know I'm gonna have to say the second to last one. It's true. Aw, stop that. The pink in her cheeks deepened at your compliment. I mean it. You knew how full Miranda's plate had been for a while now, but despite the busy schedule, she really did take all the time to put together a fantastic look. Miranda released your hands, giggled. She eyed the both of you carefully. So, how have you been?
It's nice.
Things have been nice. I've been doing well.
That's cool.
I'm really glad. Miranda put her hands behind her back sweetly, leaning forward just a smidge. Of course, everybody already knew you'd be a success. What about you? I'm super. Terry sidled up next to Miranda and put his arms around her shoulder, sighing dreamily. Randy chuckled at her boyfriend. Yeah, things have been unbelievable. He pressed his cheek against Miranda's and she let out a light squeak, and the sight put an amused grin on your face. Your friends made a wonderful couple. They knew each other well and cared about each other so much. It was no shock at all when you heard the news that they started dating. The corner of your mouth curled playfully while you took in the warm welcomes all around. At times, it was still kind of funny how your group of your friends evolved into two couples. Not that you were complaining about it, you thought it was an amazing thing. Cove then pulled his phone out and peeked at the screen. He repeated the motion every so often. You raised your curious eyebrow at his unusual behavior. Cove was too focused on whatever he was doing to even notice you noticing him, which was even stranger.
So...
is there anything either of you want to do while we're here? Any place you want to see? I'd be up for a lot of things, but actually there is something I want to do right here. Oh yeah? What's that? Terry poked at Cove's arm playfully. Miranda met your eye, silently asking if you had any idea what Cove was talking about. You shrugged. I just want to see my friends. Huh. Cove, you're already doing that.
Well...
True, but I could be doing it even more. You, Terry, and Miranda all turned to Cove with identical, incredulous expressions. His stare moved to a point past you three, and you heard the scrape of sand and gravel underfoot. Oh? So what else stepped into the parking lot? Startled, you jumped to the call of a warm voice shouting over.
Sup, guys and gals?
Derek! Hey, he's here! Look at my bro! Running a hand through his hair, the person who crossed the lawn was unmistakably Derek Suarez. He was beaming the whole way. It's been too long, even though it hasn't actually been that long, but long enough. Derek! Oh man, hunk alert. You ran over, hugged him, you grabbed onto his arm excitedly. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, honestly, my first instinct is just Derek! It's only just to say the person's name. That's literally always been my first instinct. Oh man, hunk alert. Bashful, Derek scratched the back of his head. Well, it is sure pretty true, but you don't have to say it. I think I do. Someone better report those guns. Thanks to all your encouragement, Derek went along with the fun and held his arms, flexing. Applause broke out among your group, and you whistled, causing a red blush to darken his cheeks.
I missed you.
Oh, dude, is it just me, or does he sound like Knuckles the Echidna? I don't know why, he just sounds like him. He spoke to you gently. You were thrilled just being there. Reunited with him. Derek was a good friend of yours. He had been for a long time. Hey. He waved over at Terry and Miranda pleasantly. Over the years, they all had met several times in passing, simply through being friends with the same people. Sup, big man? Hi, it's great you could come. Cove put himself next to Derek. Happy, he clapped a hand at his friend's shoulders. Hi, thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Of course, thanks for inviting me. Sheepishly, Cove looked back at you and the others. That's when it clicked in your mind. It wasn't his parents that he was texting earlier. It was Derek the entire time. Derek is in town for a few months to help my dad and his dad with some work. Yep, I'm working on my own business things too, but I'm still involved with running a scuba shop when it's called for.
Very nifty.
Humming, Derek elbowed Cove.
So?
But hey, we don't have to stand around here for my sake. What's the plan? Let's hit the town. Eager to get going, everyone piled into Terry's car. The rest of the afternoon was spent visiting spots all over Sunset Bird, laughing and reminiscing the whole way. Once it started getting late, Terry brought you and Cove back to the neighborhood. You didn't have to walk there after all. You didn't get out until promises were made to see each other again before the trip ended. Side by side, you and Cove stood in the street and waved at the car as it drove away. Terry tapped the horn for 2 honks while Miranda stuck her hand out in the window to wave back. You caught Derek in the back window, giving you both a wide grin. Sighing as soon as the car turned down another street, they were finally out of sight. Well, that was one party. Time for another. Ready to go see your moms? Always. Let's keep the celebration going. You shimmied a bit right there in the street for added emphasis. He looked at you amusedly and rolled his eyes.
Come on.
Let's go. Spirits high, you and Cove crossed the distance to your house. It was almost time for the anniversary dinner. You barely stepped in the threshold of the condo before Maud descended, eagerly welcoming you both. The usual greeting were followed by questions on everyone's well-being, after which the conversation moved to exciting chatter about tonight's dinner plans. Cove excused himself to the restroom to freshen up before being on the move again. Yo! Bro, you can't just do that. You can't just have him show up all freshened up immediately, dude. Oh, God. I don't even know how to feel about this. But when he returned, you were shocked to see that he entirely changed outfits. Where did that come from? I packed it with me so I can get dressed before the dinner without having to get back to the hotel. Didn't you? Or maybe you have stuff still here at your mom's place. No, Cove, I didn't do that.
Huh.
But your mom's party, it's at a country club. And that's also where Liz took golf lessons. Not everyone there is in their Sunday best. It'd be different if we were going to one of the club's parties, but we're only going there for a regular meal. Cove was befuddled by your explanation, as you were with his actions. He threw his arms up, desperate for understanding.
Seriously?
How can you not dress nicely for a country club? I don't think the Cypress is as special as you decided it is. You saw Ma, she wasn't in formal clothes. She's just one of the guests of honor. His brow wobbled and his cheeks became far pinker. He looked down at his own self regrettably as he pulled the cuff ends of his shirt. He seemed more like a scolded child than a grown man dressed for the latest charity gala. I thought she was gonna get changed while you and me were... Ma? No way. She'd need a whole lot more time than that. You're such a cutie. Well, it's okay. You look very nice. I love how much of an idiot you are. You shrugged, no comment needed. You patted his arms encouragingly. You were such a cutie. Cove could only sigh, fully embarrassed. Cove's eyes stole a glance at the hall, as if he was calculating if he'd had the time for another quick change. Unfortunately for him, it was not meant to be. The time to head out came far quicker than you'd expected. Oh! Okay, Cove's dad even dressed for the occasion. Cliff and Kyra swung by the condo to make sure everything was in order, and for your second surprise night, Cliff was also in formal clothes. Cove's face excitedly whipped towards yours at the same time Cliff went to Kyra's. The two men pointed at one another. See? He knows! See? He knows! Exactly, sport. Kyra was talking to me like I was crazy. The aforementioned Kyra placed a hand delicately and yet dramatically across her eyes. Clifford, our son only knows this because you're the one who raised him. Cliff chuckled, his arm moving to scratch the back of his neck. Yeah, that's my boy. The ends of Cove's mouth gently bent up. He truly was his father's kid, in more ways than he even realized. They may be the only ones in the group, potentially the only guests at the entire club, all gussied up, but at least they could take solace in one another. That looked to be good enough for them. All the James family went, as well as the honorary members Cliff and Kyra and Cove, headed out to the same time to the Cypress. At the same time to the Cypress, it was to be perfect reunion. An impeccably smart host greeted you on arrival, smoothly leading the way to the set of tables reserved for your group. Once you'd all settled in, chosen drinks were poured into delicate glasses. The food would be coming out later, letting you soak up the atmosphere for a bit longer. Smiling, your parents faced a group of familiar faces, all gathered here together to share this special day with them. Aw, look how cute they are together. It's so adorable. Mom reached over and took Ma's hand, clasping it between both of hers.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here tonight, gang. Marrying this lady right here is the best thing I could have ever done. There's no one else I want to celebrate that with. Yes, we're so lucky. Not only do we have each other, but we got such a large and loving family through all of you. Around you heard people saying "aww" and chuckling appreciatively at the comment. Lee had clasped her hands tightly in front of her, her eyes shining. Your eyes met Liz's misty ones, and the affection she had for her mom's carried over to you too. Oh, this is so cute! This is the most adorable scene that I've ever seen in my life. Look at it! Oh. You returned your attention towards the happy couple just as they leaned in to kiss, smiling all the while. The table responded with cheers and clapping, shouts of happy anniversary and the other congratulations continuing even after they'd broken apart. Mom beamed as she watched Ma giggle dreamily. The waiters reappeared, delivering delicious plates of food, and the dinner began in earnest. Both conversations and laughter continued to flow freely as the night went, went on with the two families, relishing the opportunity to be together once more. Eventually, after your hunger and thirst had been fully satisfied, the plates were cleared and the event began to draw to a close. Cliff and Kyra exchanged goodbyes with your family before heading out together. Cove gave his goodbyes to his parents while hanging back until your moms were ready to head off. You were getting a lift back with your moms. It was already late, so you discussed the possibility of going straight to the hotel rather than going back to the condo, but Cove had asked if they'd mind taking him back to the neighborhood. He wanted to visit a little longer. Your moms had happily agreed. Liz and Lee were feeling tired, so your mom swung by their hotels during the trip home while you and Cove made the full journey with them. Riding in the backseat of your mom's car with Cove felt a little more nostalgic. As your eyes drifted over to him, his head resting on the window, it was hard to believe how much time had passed. Mom stretched as she got out of the car, smiling over her shoulder as she headed towards the house. Time to put up my feet. You two joining us? Cove shook his head. No thanks, it's your anniversary. You don't have to entertain me. I'll take a walk. It's never any trouble to have you over, Cove.
You alright with that?
Let him do as he pleases, Lonnie. But you better not stay out too much later, or there'll be trouble. Ma chuckled as Mom waggled a finger, her expression exaggeratedly severe as she reprised a role that, in truth, she never really played. Neither of your parents had been particularly harsh as you grew up. Ma joined in on the act. Don't go too wild just because there's no school tomorrow. Laughing, they made their way inside, leaving you standing out in the dark street with Cove. You hadn't needed to ask him why. You already had the answer for this. He wasn't ready for the day to end. Without a word, Cove began to stroll down the road. You walked alongside him. You'd known your destination long before you arrived on the dark and utterly deserted beach. There were no lights down here, nothing but the moon and the stars for illumination. The only sounds were gentle waves rolling in and out, and the soft sound of footprints you left in the sand. In other words, it was perfect. Cove stepped out into the waves without a word. He looked up at the sky with a smile, then tucked his head down and began to pull his fancy shirt off. I don't know how to feel about this. Bro, honestly, when did this kid get so jacked? He tugged it over his head and lobbed it backwards, further up the beach, and out of the reach of the waves. What are you doing? Didn't know I'd be getting a show. Wait for me. You looked away embarrassed. You followed him into the water. You better not be going any deeper into the water. Didn't know I'd be getting a show. Cove froze, his arm still raised as he'd thrown his shirt. Slowly, he came back to life, stiffly pulling his arm back down. Your commentary had made him self-conscious. Laughing, you clapped your hands in delight at his awkwardness. Cove slipped his dress pants off and tossed them back in roughly the same direction as his shirt. He was down to just his polka dot boxer briefs. Wait, polka dots? Oh, damn. Sometimes you were really struck by the ways in which he was braver than his younger self. This was definitely one of those times. Oh, I also just noticed the scar on his arm is gone. Like you guys know how he had like that little scar on his left arm? It's actually fully gone now. Or like he's probably just turned the arm so you can't see the scar. He never ever would have done this when you were both living on the street. But you also know he still wouldn't do it with anyone other than someone he spent all those years with. You took your show so you could swim. You decided you didn't care if your clothes got wet. You thought it was so wild that Cove was going to actually swim right now. You took your shirt off so you can swim. Cove waded further into the water until it came up to his chest. You unfastened your clothes and left them behind you, just as Cove had done moments before. You didn't even bother to see where they had fallen before following him deeper into the sea. Cove grinned at your approach. I'm gonna be in so much trouble with my mom when we get back.
I guess.
Yeah? Oh well. Think fast! He splashed water at you as soon as the words left his lips, giving you no time to prepare. The splash had caught you full on, leaving you sputtering and drenched. You're a child. You swam away, you splashed back at it. You splashed him back. Splash him back. This is war. Seeing what you were doing, Ko put his hands up for protection. It was no use. The water washed over him, leaving his hair soaked through. Ko sighed, then looked at you mournfully. The sudden shift in mood alarmed you, but those worries disappeared as soon as he opened his mouth. We're still not merfolk. The world is cruel. You snickered. After a moment, Ko's mock sadness broke, and he joined in. The two of you wound up drifting further down along the shoreline, chatting and enjoying the chance to be back on the beach that had provided the backdrop for so much of your childhood. Eventually, a silhouette of structures appeared up ahead. As you drew closer, you realized it was the old playground. Ko spotted it and hurried towards it, dragging himself out of the water and heading to the park. Wet sand coated his feet and lower legs with every step, clinging thickly enough that it began to resemble a bizarre pair of boots. As you followed him, you wondered how many visitors this little park got these days. There were officially no children living in the neighborhood now. Ko gazed at his surroundings in wide-eyed awe. He didn't care at all that he was soaking wet and dressed only in his underwear. Crouching, he gently pushed one of the child-sized swings, marveling at it all.
Wow.
I can't believe how tiny everything is. We were seriously small enough to use these? He shook his head, unable to fathom just how little you both been when you first met, then walked over to the monkey bars. Once these had been a challenge for you, now they were a little more than waist height next to Cove. Jeez, they're waist height to him? How tall is this man? Cove turned his back to the bars and hopped up onto them with ease, sitting on them comfortably. He sat on the bars with him, why not? It was strange seeing adult Cove juxtaposed in the baby playground, but you took your own place at the structure. This place had been something so exciting to Cove back when he first arrived, and apparently it was to this day. Cove smiled eagerly as you approached, kicking his feet in the air happily, briefly forgetting the low vantage point until the tip of his toe scraped along the ground. He continued to swing his feet, but with little more care. You thought it was adorable. In this moment, you were home. It just so happened to be the place you'd grown up, but really, anywhere you could be with Cove was that for you. He had held a special place in your heart for so long, as so much of your life had been shared. You'd grown up on the same street, which had given you some common ground, but it was far beyond that. You had both chosen from a young age to share your life with each other. You wouldn't have it any other way. Here we are again. Here we are. The mood had shifted now. The funny, impulsive night beach trip with the spike of adrenaline that came from you playing in the water under the moonlight had settled into something quieter, more nostalgic. Cove leaned back, tilting his head towards the sky to admire the stars above. Too bad I wasn't able to bring my surfboard along for this. Cove shrugged dramatically, trying to lift the mood a little. The dinner was really nice. It was great to do all this. He smiled. He smiled. The smile he had when he spoke those words fell as quickly as it appeared. It went by so fast. We all came out of here for the party and it's over. Liz, Lee, our parents, we'll all be going back to our own things now. But what else can you do, except say it's okay? I guess it's part of growing up. This place and these people, they're our foundation. It shaped who we are now, and making castles out of sand. We owe a lot to Sunset Bird. His eyes crinkled fondly, and Ko's voice was gentle when he spoke again. We had a good childhood, I think. I think so too. We're really lucky. I'll always remember our days. Wow, you're sounding so old now. You joked, you simply shrugged, you silently nodded. I'll always remember our days here.
Me too.
He shook his head, sighing heavily. Alright. His smile took on an uncharacteristically harsh twist. You had a feeling where this was going. We better get home before your dumb parents who don't know anything get mad. You had to laugh at the half-hearted impression of the sour kid you once encountered in this very park. He chuckled along with you for a moment before tapering off. I hope we don't get grounded. The jokes kept coming. It was very amusing to imagine not only could your mom somehow ground you as a fully grown and independent adult, but that their powers had extended over Cove as well. As much as you were enjoying being back here, Cove was right. You had to accept that you needed to go now. It was late and your moms were still expecting to see you before you got a ride back to the hotel. You and Cove hopped down from the bars, landing easily on the ground, only a short distance below. Before you could return, you had some clothes to retrieve from the beach. You retrod the same path that, following the footprints down the shore you left in the sand only a little while earlier. Once you and Cove had scrounged up your abandoned clothes, you started to walk up back the old path home side by side. Droplets of water slipped down your skin and fell to the road as you made your way back to your mom's house. As you and Cove were still soaked and sandy from your earlier adventure, it was likely that you were leaving quite a trail in your wake. But you'd seen Cove's bedroom growing up. It was only natural for him. The air was slightly humid, already pleasantly dense with moisture that felt like a hug as it closed around you. Any damp footprints that were left behind would take longer to dry in this weather. The signs of your adventure might be visible when the sun came up the next day. You hoped so. You quite liked the idea of you and Cove leaving your mark in their hometown again, even if only for a little while. Despite being soaked through and mostly undressed, the balmy summer night prevented you from feeling any chill. You were entirely comfortable. In truth, you felt warm inside and out. The day had been so lovely, spending the time with friends and family, and your eyes drift over to Cove. Cove Holden, just seeing him brought a smile to your face. You're such a good friend. You're my best friend, you know. You said nothing, simply enjoying his presence. Cove Holden, your boyfriend, just seeing him brought a smile to your face. Cove, you make me so happy. You truly are my other half. You said nothing, simply enjoying his presence. I want to always be with you. I love you. Cove turned to you, his eyes wide and adoring. He bit his lip and he shyly smiled. You could tell that your words had touched him. I feel the same way exactly. He held your gaze a moment longer, looking straight at you as he spoke again.
I love you.
Forever. You felt him and hugged. You playfully bumped against him with your side. You kissed him. You reached for his hand. You nodded, pleased with how tonight had played out. Catching him by the hand, you stopped Cove in his tracks and pulled him close. Your heart a somersault to it as your lips met. At this moment, with the quiet seaside town at rest, it felt like it was just the two of you in the world. Cove returned the kiss, gently cradling your head with his hand until you broke apart. You were full of joy. All the other concerns and the day-to-day stresses of normal life were squeezed out by it. All you could think in that moment was how your life was wonderful. Every second, every day needed to end sometime. And that time had nearly come for tonight. You had to get at least some rest and bring it all to a close. And so the two of you went inside to say goodnight to your moms, as well as clean yourselves up as best you could. Your moms, both in pajamas, ready for their own sleep, hooted with laughter as you came inside, disheveled and damp, and their teasing continued until the car came to get to the hotel. Cove stayed silent as he put his casual clothes on again, placing the formal ones back into the bag he brought them in. You'd given Mom and Ma plenty of material for a mock scolding, and you got a playful lecture about not getting into the water without bothering to change first. You just grinned at your partner in crime, feeling like a naughty little kid again. It had been worth it. By the time you and Cove finally dragged yourselves into the hotel room for the night, the sky had been dark for some time, and the lonely hotel hallways were quiet. The late hour made you feel a sense of fulfillment. You really were making the most of your trip. It was such an odd thought that this was almost over. You had settled into this new routine naturally. All the familiar streets and faces made everything easier to get used to. The two of you drowsily shuffled past an ice machine and into your room. Cove set his phone on the bedside table and you followed suit. The both of you started settling in for the night. The hotel room was a welcome sight after your long day. You noticed Cove rub the back of his neck and yawn. His voice was quiet and distant. I hope the pet sitter is doing good. The wish wasn't exactly directed to you. It was just a sleepy thought that Cove had unleashed upon the world at large. But you still agreed. I hope so too. Cove still kept fish after all these years. Delightful, colorful things in huge aquariums. He apparently spent a lot of time watching them swim. You had not been surprised when he told you that he had found someone to look after them in his absence. After all, you also found a pet sitter. You were in the same spot as Cove with your animals. With no one at your respective homes, they still need to be cared for. Cove's anxiety about leaving them hadn't subsided. Over the vacation, you had caught him a few times texting the pet sitter asking about the fish. I'm also a little worried it'll be okay. You were even more tense than Cove. It'll be okay. Cove turned his head to you, the nervousness still coming off despite his exhaustion. I know what you mean, but you chose that person for a reason. You trust them. But they're all fine. They just miss you. Cove smiled, appreciative of your comfort. You nodded in satisfaction. Mission accomplished. Cove yawned widely. He seemed confused by the magnitude of it. He groggily blinked at you. I think it's time for bed. You squinted at your wrist as if looking at a watch. Yeah, it's bedtime o'clock. The two of you got changed and brushed your teeth. In no time at all, both of you were cozy and ready to sleep. After that, you flopped onto your side of the shared bed. Cove headed over to his side and felt the mattress dip under his weight. You tucked yourself under the covers and Cove snuggled in closer to the middle. You turned to your side to face him, and scooted slightly closer. Your nose is almost touched, and Cove watched you with a soft expression on his face. Cove spoke gently, his words like a lullaby.
Good night.
Good night, Richie. Night. Cove's eyes fluttered shut, and he let out a contented sigh. There was a warmth from Cove's body next to you. He was right there. His presence was alluring. You really wanted your hands on him? His presence was comforting, perfect for lulling you to sleep. First one, definitely. Your eyes felt closed sometime after. You were not sure exactly when, only the fact that they were now too heavy to open. You felt a mixture of bitter and sweet emotions. You were happy to be there, but sad it was ending. There was a relief that you would soon be in your own home again, but also wondering when you could return here. There were many more feelings swirling around in your head that hadn't crystallized into thoughts yet. Paradoxically, you felt nice but also confused. But then also nice from the confusion. In the back of your mind, you realized that you really must be tired. Unsurprisingly, your exhaustion did not give you too much time to muse on your emotions, and in what felt like seconds, you were already dreaming. The dreams dancing around your head became fragmented, and faded until you couldn't remember a thing about them at all. You were growing more aware of the real world. You woke up on your own. Your eyes open with a smile. Groggily, struggling to keep your eyes half open. You pout and squeeze your eyes shut. You open your eyes with a smile. Your plans for the day worm their way into your mind, rubbing the sleepy seeds away. You're looking forward to today. You sat up fully with a big yawn, stretching your back, then your arms and lastly your neck before accepting the day. The blanket fell to the side while you swung your legs over the side of the bed. A part of it almost got caught on your foot, but you kicked it away. Cove slipped out of bed on the opposite side. Today would be your last day in Sunset Bird. The only thing you had planned was some family time in the old neighborhood. You figured you'd see where the day took you from there. Yawning again, you glanced over at your clothes. They were just one more day to live out of your bag. I'm really looking forward to having my full wardrobe again. I don't have anything clean left, but oh well. Hey Cove, is there anything you'd like to see me in today? You simply started sorting up to the pile and for something to put on. You know, why not tease him? Your teasing had Cove shaking his head, but then his gaze locked with yours. His smile grew, and you raised a quizzical eyebrow. You already know the answer to that. An anklet? Good guess, but that's only second place. Really? What else have you ever said about that? His mouth curled into an enthusiastic smirk. Cove clearly had some kind of setup. Now he was gonna pay off. Nothing. Oh! Oh my god, Cove, you scoundrel. You little pervert. I think I can get used to that. Now it made sense. Only this time, instead of the answer being a poorly worded deflection from the shy teen, it was entirely a literal statement from your grown boyfriend. An amused smile slowly grew ear to ear on your face. I'll keep that in mind then. Cove laughed boisterously at the reaction he got. Alright, let's get things going. Our families are waiting. Nodding, you and Cove swiftly finished getting ready in the small hotel room. As soon as you had your stuff together, you were ready to go. You were off. During the ride there, you and Cove decided to visit his dad's house first, this time. When you got dropped off, Cove eagerly hopped out onto the street with his eyes locked on his father's condo. Your gaze fell on your boyfriend. He stood in the middle of the street where you grew up together, while the summer sun made him shine. Though he was the brightest light in your eyes no matter what. Aww, that's adorable. A playful grin spread across your face. It was a beautiful day and a beautiful boy. Cove strode up to his old front door and casually flung it open without bothering to knock once again. You followed at his side as he poked his head in. You closed the door behind you both. Hello. You found Cliff and Kyra in the kitchen getting breakfast ready. Kyra was cutting an apple while Cliff was watching a frying pan sizzle. Ghost parents waved from across the room, not straying from their tasks. Good morning, you two. Yeah, morning, and hello to you. I hope you slept well.
Thanks.
Thanks for swinging by. You're more than welcome to join us for breakfast here, if you hadn't eaten already, of course. We haven't yet, though if we had, there's always room for more. Kara chuckled. She put down the knife as she had her hands so that all of her attention could be on her son. You're still my giant growing baby boy. Mom, please. Kyra didn't pay Cove's whining any mind. Instead, she put a finger up to her lips as she thought, her eyes on you, then glimpsing towards the window.
What do you think?
I wonder, do you think your family's eaten yet, Richie? I'm not sure. Cove and I came over here first. Your eyes flicked over to the clock on their oven. Given the time, your moms may have eaten, or they could be having a slower morning. It was a coin toss either way. Well, give them a call. They could come over. Cove nodded, and a sage expression on his face. Making them breakfast is the least we could do after how much food I ate at their house growing up.
Right.
True, bud. Very true. All right. You took out your phone. Even though your moms both had cells for years, the house number was the one that you had memorized as a kid, and the first entry of your contacts list. As the call connected, you tapped the speaker button. You figured it would be easier if everyone could hear what was going on. You heard a click and familiar static.
Hello.
Hello, Richie. It's nice to hear from you. Hey, Ma. Good morning. I'm across the street right now, and Cove's family wanted me to invite everyone for breakfast. You want to come over? That sounds delightful. Pamela and I can do that. Liz and Lee should be able to make it too. Would that be fine? Cliff took a step forward and spoke loudly with his voice, so his voice would be picked up. It definitely would be. The more the merrier.
Marvelous.
We may have gotten together for dinner last night, but there's no law that we can't do. There's no law that we can't do it again for breakfast today. Enjoy the company while you can, is what I think. Ma giggled, and you could hear some rustling over the line. Thank you. I'll let them know. We'll be right over. Cliff gave a thumbs up. Cove shook his head with amusement. Dad just gave a thumbs up. I'm telling you since you can't see him over the phone. Kyra snorted and Ma's laughter rang out, filling the kitchen, and Cliff switched the thumbs up hand instead to scratch the back of his head.
See you.
Well, it sounds like we'll see you soon. Goodbye for a little while. You could feel her smile from her voice. Bye, Ma. You ended the call with a satisfying tap of the red button. Cliff's eyes wandered around the space. We better get cooking.
Sounds good.
I can help. Me too. No way. You're guests. Kyra and I have got this. She grinned. There was something playful in the twist of her lips.
Right.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Cliff. I've been in your spot before. There's no choice but to accept it. Ko sighed, but from the sparkle in his eyes, you could see that he was entertained. Fine, we'll just hang out over here, I guess. Good. Ko walked over to the living room and gestured at the couch. You both took a seat, getting a comfortable spot to wait for the food and family. Ko tilted towards his parents with his chin, then shook his head with a gentle smile, silently asking if you could believe this. All you had was a silent shrug. Time passed, filled with light chatting. Ko kept a careful watch of his parents' culinary progress, and teasing kept a running commentary. Oh, Dad added another pinch of salt. I wondered if that was a good idea. Cliff had to raise his voice to project over the living room. He sounded very amused. It's funny that you of all people will be commenting on my salt usage. We were both born and raised in salt water. Besides, I'm sure you remember back when you were about 12 and tried to make Ko flushed slightly, but his smile remained as bright as ever. Do you really want to start talking about cookie mistakes, Dad? Because I remember a lot of things too. Like, what about the chowder that was supposed to be a pie? Cove and his family were quite a show to listen to. You chimed in occasionally, but mostly you provided a laugh track. Eventually, there was a rhythmic knock on the door. Oh, that's them. He said it loudly for his parents' benefit. You nodded and got up to greet your family. When you opened the door, surprisingly, there were no moms. Oh? Terry stood in front with Miranda at his side, and Derek waved from behind them. Hey, it's the buddies! Hey, buddies! We came to see you two before you left. The plan would have been to go over to Richie's house next if you weren't here, but luckily, you two aren't hard to find. What he said. Hi, and hi! Cope burst into happy laughter. His brows were high in surprise, not unlike how he looked after unwrapping a nice present. Wow, thanks for coming. Hello. Kyra's voice carried through the house from the kitchen. Cliff likewise projected. Great, the whole gang will be here. You heard the sound of the cabinet door open and shut. A pan clattered and the faucet turned on.
Are we interrupting something?
I love the voice acting in this game. My parents, sister, and cousin are coming over for breakfast. They should be here in a few minutes. Yep, but my dad always makes a ton of food anyway. It's no problem for you guys to join. Cole waved off their concerns before pausing with a thoughtful hum. The only real problem is, do we have enough places for all these people to sit? He peered back into his house and started counting the dining room table, chairs, and bar stools. 5, 6... Cliff interrupted when Cole began trying to use his finger to connect different chairs to different guests.
No worries.
Don't worry, some people can squish together in the sofas. It'll be fine. This really is gonna be a party. Well, I'd be happy to accept the invitation.
Yeah.
Look at the sneer on his face. Derek is just full of cockiness, I swear. Yeah, you'd have to be crazy to skip out on this.
Thanks.
Thanks for making room. We're really glad that you came. Your three friends finally piled into the house. Before they had a chance to settle in, the doorbell rang. Only Miranda had sat down.
All right.
Now that has to be them. People laughed as he walked back over to the door and opened it up. Hey, there they are. He was right this time. It was your parents, Liz and Lee, all crowded on the front steps. They squinted into the house. They were surprised just how many greetings were said. The sheer force of the chorus of hellos was impressive. This is by far the most adorable game I have ever played, and I love it.
What?
How did they beat us here? How early did Richie call you? We're literally across the street. Terry snorted at your sister's confusion. He seemed quite pleased with himself. We were a surprise. We called ourselves.
Cool.
Very cool. Cliff smirked as he adjusted the settings in the stovetop. It's a little more crowded than expected, but we're making it work. Cove led the final group to complete the picture inside, and they all took the chance to greet you, along with everyone else. When the excited energy buzzing around the table started to calm, you had a second to truly appreciate this view. The most important people in your life all together again. It still felt too good to be true to have everyone here. And then you noticed that Kyra stood back up. She clapped her hands once in a satisfying smack.
Anywho's.
I hate to interrupt, but I thought you'd want to know that the food's done cooking. Cliff crossed the floor to place a pile of silverware on the table, and then he dropped the stuff off on other surface around the rest of the living room. When he was done, he gestured towards the food.
Okay.
The plates are in the kitchen. Serve yourselves and sit wherever you like. The guests happily formed a line, and the meal was steadily passed around. Before long, each person claimed a seat in the Holden living room area. Some at the table, some others on the kitchen island. Some are situated at the couches. Conversations tickled across the various clusters of friends as everyone dug in. Cove finished his plate in record time with a pleased sigh. He put his fork down and surveyed the room. This is really cool. Just how we're getting to do this kind of thing. Oh, the game lagged for a second. I like this too, Cove. I hope we'll be able to make this happen again. Of course, there'll always be more reasons to get the gang back together in the future. Yes, the two of you might even dare to celebrate your yearly anniversary. Every year. The smirk on Liz's face grew only wider as your mom giggled at her teasing. Ma shook her head and chuckling softer now.
Shush.
Liz, shush.
True.
Honestly, we just might. You've made a good point. It does come around every year. You should. Seriously, you deserve a big celebration for your magical day. The kids are right. You got a lot of people who want to appreciate you. You got to give them a chance. It's true. I know I have a lot to thank you for. There were more nods of agreement around the room. Your moms took each other's hands for support. Neither were expecting so much encouragement. Well, think about it. She'll think about it, and I'll tell Lonnie to stop thinking so hard if she doesn't agree. Pam!
Good.
Good job, Mom. Now with that settled, let's continue to enjoy this perfect gathering. Actually, you wanna know who else being here would make this extra perfect? And as amazing as this was, you couldn't help but think back of the absent faces. In seconds, everyone curiously turned their attention to you. Shiloh, Jeremy, Baxter? Oh, come on, out of the three of them, Shiloh. You know Shiloh would have made it all perfect. Shiloh. A loud snort came from Liz before she clapped her hands over her mouth. Her shoulders trembled with laughter at your suggestion.
No.
Oh, Richie, I'm really not sure about that, but I guess I'm a little curious about what ended up happening to him. I bet he's doing well. He was a bright kid. Cove shrugged, listening to the thread of the conversation. When you caught his gaze, he smiled softly, and you hoped that wherever Shiloh was, that he was doing as well as you, Cove, and Liz. Aww. And it is too bad Baxter is missing from this. Cove turned to you with a genuinely thoughtful look. He rubbed at his forearm while composed his thoughts. I think I'd be up for seeing him again. It'd be kind of interesting to see what Baxter would be like now. Yeah, I think so too. He'd at least have a ball with everyone gathered today.
Ooh.
Yeah, Baxter was a cool guy. With the eyes, sure, the fancy rental car, right? I liked him. He was pretty nice. It would be cool if Jeremy was here too. Cole's expression twisted into a sour grimace for the second Jeremy's name rolled off your tongue. Snickering, your grin widened, thinking back to the angry little bowl-cut boy that you had been making jokes about for years. The amusement on your face faltered for a moment. Your eyes fell on Derek. His eyebrows were pinched together while you sat silent, confused. Derek, don't you remember Jeremy? Huh? No, not really. Should I? Not really. We met him on the playground, I think. Many, many, many years ago. Oh wow, I don't remember him at all. He was mean and loud. And had the bowl cut hairstyle. Yeah, that's still not ringing any bells. Sorry. It's alright. It's probably for the best. You left things there. There was a playfulness in Kyra's stare as she scanned the room. She slowly placed her index finger on her chin. Now that I think of it, there's something I haven't done in a while. Eyebrows were raised at Kyra's incomplete thought. She was wordlessly urged to continue. Kyra didn't hesitate. Look at all the photos Cliff has here. Wouldn't that be fun for all of us? What? Mom, why would you say that? Practically all those photos are of me.
Very cute.
And that's why embarrassing my baby boy is just one of the perks of being a mom. Much to Cove's dismay, his mom was thoroughly entertained at his outburst. She winked in your direction. Meanwhile, Cliff stood up with a wave, proud affection for his son, and completely missed Kyra's teasing intent.
Oh.
I think that's a great idea. Anyone else interested in the pictures?
Yeah.
I am. Lee shot her hand up before Cliff could even take a full step. Terry and Miranda snuck each other a glance before nodding with matching grins. That sounds swell.
That's fantastic.
That would be lovely, Cliff. Mom tried to hide her amusement behind her hand, but she couldn't stop the snicker that slipped out. Oh boy. But they never get old. Poor Cove. Everyone loves to pick on you. Only out of love. A snort and giggle slipped out of Liz before she could hide her mouth with her hand. She shook her head, feeling embarrassed by Kyra's knowing smile and unwavering gaze. Of course. Cove buried his face in his hands and sighed slowly, his shoulders deflated in defeat. Fine, we can take a look. Everyone happy with picture time? Yay!
Fun.
Yes. They both excitedly raised a fist in victory. The smaller cheers worked their way around the room. Your friends and family were delighted with this turn of events. Cliff flipped open the fabled album of physical pictures. Oh, are we really going to see pictures of Cove? I really want to see them. I want to see what they look like. He held it up to his face. The corner of his eyes crinkled, and though the book covered much of his face, you were certain that he was smiling fondly. But he didn't keep it to himself long. So laying the family album on the dining table, you and the rest of the party gathered around to get a peek. That is so adorable! That little baby Cove, it's adorable. The first picture was the first page. Was baby Cove in a cute little onesie. There were several coos and ahs in the group, and Cliff's eyes were shining with tears as he sniffled. He's grown so much. Cove was such a cute kid. That's my darling angel. The one nice onesie, Cove. How precious. Even as a baby, you looked unimpressed. You smiled to join the view. That's my darling angel. You met Cove's eye with the fondest smile, and you saw the second his breath caught. His mouth twitched until he let himself accept the compliment. Cove held himself even taller, pleased and uplifted by your comment. Thanks, Richie. After breakfast and the photo showcase, everyone decided to stick around. Hanging around Mr. Holden's house turned into taking a walk around the neighborhood, and then a lunch you switched over to your mom's condo. It was a really good time enjoying each other's company, but eventually the sun began to set, and there was nothing else to delay your friends and family from going home. Inside your mom's house, the home had been raised in. You had been raised in. The group was taking their time saying their goodbyes. It was tough for you and your family and your friends. You knew what was weighing on the mood. It might be some time before you'd see one another again. It was a pleasure having you all here. You're welcome to come around anytime. Mom wrapped an arm around Mom with a light chuckle. Mom leaned her head gently into her wife, but they both beamed.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I know we're all adults with our own hectic lives, but we appreciate the time taken to visit. Snoring, Liz crossed her arms. She leaned one hip out of the side while her lips curled teasingly. You make it sound like this was such a struggle, but such a struggle. Some of these people still live here, and it was a vacation for everyone else. Even so, it was very thoughtful, and I hope everyone had a safe trip home. Kyra clapped a hand on Cliff's shoulder. He was puzzled as she leaned in so he could hear her. That means you too. It's dangerous crossing the street. Remember to look both ways. Hey now. Yeah. Good luck with all the important grown-up things. I'm sure you'll have to deal with when you're all out of here. Definitely. I'll give updates next time something happens, or something lame I can vent about. How nice. I'm glad Lee won't be forgetting the little people. Never ever. I'll keep in touch too.
Very nice.
You better. Well, me and Randy aren't going far, so we can keep an eye on the town for the rest of you. Nothing will get past us. Right, we'll make sure everything is okay. No need to worry at all.
Thanks.
That's kind of you. Randa and Terry gave each other pleased smiles, already committing to their self-appointed task. Derek scratched the back of his head, wearing a pensive look. It's always sad when I have to leave this town. It happens too often, but at least there will be people looking out for Sunset Bird. That makes me feel better about it. After a pause, Mr. Holden gave the younger folks a thumbs up.
Great.
That's all great. You've got a lot to be proud of, and a lot to be looking forward to. Well said, Cliff. I'm thankful that I've been privileged to witness the growth you've undergone over the years. You've each matured beautifully. Cove was touched by his parents' words, struggling to come up with something to follow. Yeah, it's been good seeing everyone. No one had taken a step yet, and you couldn't even put this off any longer. It was time to say goodbye. I'm so glad we got to do this. Me too. Today was even better than I imagined. I don't know that I don't know what we're gonna do without the kids around. I know. They keep us young. We're not that old. Some of us still got it. She winked at Cliff teasingly, and he shook his head. Both of your moms laughed at that, and you caught several more cracks of smiles among your friends. Afterwards, there was more sniffling and hugs, a lot of hugs. Then people started trailing out into the streets, seeing others off. Your friends and family got into their cars and left the neighborhood. By the time things had fully settled, you realized the sun had set. Earlier, you and Cove decided on having a car pick you both up. Neither of you wanted to bother your parents after such a long day. It would be a little while longer before you. It would be there though. It was the right choice. It was the right choice as both sets of parents shot you weary looks. The four of you seemed ready to call it a night. It didn't take either you or Cove very long to assure them that it was okay to head home to go to bed. With one more round of goodnights and goodbyes, your families returned to their condos. Then the only people left in the street were you and Cove. Cove closed his eyes, humming happily, while he waited for it to pass. He stared up at the sky. Cove's hands were in his pockets, and his shoulders were relaxed when he caught your attention, with a tilt of his head.
So...
Can you guess what I'm thinking? Well, at the moment you were in the neighborhood you grew up in together at the same time to spare. With some time to spare. You rolled your shoulders back and pretended to crack a few of your knuckles. An amused look fidgeted on Cove's face while he observed you silently. Could you perhaps be thinking that the fireflies are out?
Right.
Oh my god. Right. Do you want to go to the Poppy Hill before we leave? Always. There was an eager bounce in your step as you and Cove crossed over towards the hill behind your mom's house. Side by side, you stared out at the view in awe. As you imagined, the hill was dotted with glowing firefly light. It perfectly reflected the memories that the childhood held closely in your mind. Cove sighed contentedly, seeing them cross the hill, weaving around and the blades of grass and stars above. Cove cocked his head to the side before his expression twisted playfully. When he met your eye, you were about to prod him about what was on his mind when he took off running. I bet I'll catch one first. Oh, it's on. Kicking up a bit of dirt and leaves, you bolted in the opposite direction after a few fireflies had captured your attention. The first one that filtered into your range, you dove for it. Did you get one? It escaped between your fingers, but that didn't dim the second of your fun. You shook your head, trying to find your next target. The next one, I can feel it. Unless you're feeling my future victory. At the corner of your eye, you watch Cove get spun nearly around, following one that was staying out of reach. Chuckling, you crouched down low, searching the air. The pursuit for fireflies continued until a handful had been caught. Cove crossed over to you with a bright grin that could rival even twinkling bugs and stars around you. Cupped between both his hands, Cove carefully held a firefly. The corners of his mouth twisted before a few giggles escaped him. And you knew that feeling well. The way the firefly would buzz around, tickling the palms of your hands. Cove's eyelids fluttered open, meaning yours. He watched you with a complicated mix of emotions, heavy with the weight of 15 years of history of memories. It's really a relief that I got to see the fireflies. This trip wouldn't have felt complete without it. Yeah, I think you're right. You spotted another firefly lowering to your eye level before looping up to top of Cove's head. It landed right in his hair and you smirked. What? You have a very tiny firefly hat. I do? Before you could answer, the firefly took off and disappeared into the night. It gave it a tiny wave goodbye. You gave it a tiny wave goodbye. Well, that didn't last very long. That's too bad. I'll remember them as my tiny hat forever. Me too. Taking a deep breath, Cove held your eye. He appeared to be conflicted about what he wanted to say next, and you waited for him to make his choice. It's so strange not to live here anymore. Most of my life, neither of us were ever really away from Sunset Bird. Well, unless one of us went on a trip somewhere. Or when both of our families took trips together. Remember that? He chuckled, losing himself into fond reminiscing. You couldn't help but match his grin. I like that road trip one a lot, though I don't think we would all squish into the RV again. We're way too big. Laughing, Cove shook his head. His brow creased the longer he sat with the thoughts spinning in his brain. Those visits back with my mom, I remember what a big deal they felt like then, to be away from here without anyone else coming, for a whole few weeks. Oh, how little I knew. We were so innocent then. Hey, what did you used to tell your mom about me when you were on those trips to see her? You nodded. That's actually a pretty good question. You're thrown a little off kilter. Cove hadn't been expecting that question at all. Both of his eyebrows raised, that a part of you wondered if you had somehow spoken gibberish instead. Honestly, I've been wondering about it since I was 13. Kyra always kept the details to herself, and you never said a word either. Well? Cove couldn't meet your stare for a second longer. Bashfully, he turned away, and his voice grew smaller. Mostly, I just tell her about all the times we'd hang out, but I know I was pretty enthusiastic when I was because you are someone really special to me. And I admit that much to my mom. Not sure if I used the word crush exactly, but she knew that you were the highlight of my young life. And look at that, you still are. He delivered that final thought earnestly enough that you stopped breathing altogether. Cove beamed at you, pleased with his confession. Thank you. You're welcome, and thank you for being my favorite story. Finally, Cove parted his hands and released the firefly back into the hill. It flew up around his face before darting away into the sky, but your gaze was fixated on him. There was a touch of wistfulness in his features as he watched the bug disappear into the night. It wasn't until Cove turned his attention back to you that his demeanor warmed. Okay, I'm ready to go now. I think I'm ready too. Are you sure? Yeah, it's just goodbye for a little while. There'll be more nights like this one someday. Trailing the few steps behind Cove, you looked back down the hill. You spotted your childhood home immediately. I'm grateful we could come home. We could come home here and see how things are without us. It was nice.
Yeah.
It really was. With Cove right there alongside you, you made your way down the hill, with the same stars above trailing the way your last night in Sunset Bird was closing out. You were lost deep in a dream, adrift in your current unconscious mind. Cove was with you even there, his presence strong as your mind filtered from scene to scene, the logic of the conscious world melting around you. Something jolted from your slumber, the visions you had constructed slipping away as you scrambled to catch them. It had been a good dream. You opened your eyes to an unlit, unfamiliar ceiling. The darkness permeated the room so thoroughly that you were sure it was still the middle of the night. As your eyes adjusted to the little light there was to catch onto, a smiling face cozied itself right above you. There he was. Good morning, Richie. The grin was bright enough to make it seem like maybe the sun had risen after all. Oh, it's my dream come true. Oh, it's my dream come true, you cood. When have you got up your sleeve today? Please stop being a morning person. You grown as grumpy as you can manage. What have you got up your sleeve today? You knew you were about to experience one of Cove Holden's plans. His expression softened at your voice, the tender affection in his gaze obvious despite the dim space. Propping yourself up on your elbows, you leaned in towards him. Cove read your intent in your movement and bent down, meeting you halfway in a kiss. Would you have preferred me to wake you up by tapping on the window? Haha, you're so funny. Maybe. Cove simply smirked, amused by his own wit.
Come on.
I mean, you really should have expected this was gonna happen. Fine, shame on me, cause you got me more than once. I did. I was waiting for it. Good. Glad I didn't disappoint. I'm guessing you woke me up for some reason. Are you ever gonna let me know? Well, this is our last day here. Everyone might still be asleep, but if we get up now, we can at least see the neighborhood. Do you want to? And the reason you didn't tell me this plan last night is... Here we go, yet again. With you, definitely.
All right.
Great. Then he held out one of those hands to help you get up too. You took it. Cove's grip was strong as his fingers closed around yours. He pulled, tugging you up with ease. Before you could head out, you and Cove both needed to get dressed. You did so quietly. The strangeness of the hour meant that your bodies seemed less coordinated than usual. Each article of clothing a new puzzle, but you managed. The two of you were eventually ready to head out into the wide world. Dawn still hadn't broken when you left the hotel. It was easy enough to get a ride down to Sunset Bird. The journey was peaceful. You might have expected sleep to attempt to claim you once again. The sky was still so dark, but Cove's excited energy was infectious. Morning was finally starting to come over to Sunset Bird as you arrived, almost like the sun itself wanted to be there to welcome you. Cove turned towards you, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. One more summer beach trip? You laughed, nodding to reassure him, as if there was any alternative now. That you were here, and he was looking at you so eagerly. Yeah, one more. You could have taken your time getting there, dawdling under the morning sun, or you could have taken a short walk at a regular pace. And both of those would have been just right for some other occasion, but this time, without either of you saying a word, you and Cove set off sprinting. The two of you tore gleefully down the street towards the beach, as excited as ungainly as the kids you'd once been. You were laughing with joy at the absurdity of it all, being here at the break of dawn with the boy who you once discovered on the nearby hill, who never completely grew up. As it was still early, you did your best to keep the noise down. To the side, you saw Cove covering his mouth to stifle his own giggles, similarly aware of the people sleeping in the condos around you. You thought of what the mean old not grandparents would have said if they could see you now. All you could do was continue running and stumbling down towards the beach away from the residents and their sleeping occupants. It was only a few minutes before you arrived at the expansive ocean shore. Cole kicked off his shoes and strode right into the water, not stopping until his feet were entirely submerged. The waves tickled his ankles. Of course I'll get into the water with him. As you're slipping your shoes off, you let the sea flow over you. It was cool against your skin, but not as cold as when the waves pulled back and your wet feet were exposed to the air again. The two of you stood there, watching the sun continued its ascent over the horizon. Silence fell between you until finally dawn had fully broken. Even then, Cove spoke in a whisper.
Wow.
I can't believe it's over. How are we already at this point? It all went by so fast. Well, you're really sounding like a kid again. How are we already at this point? It all went by so fast. A ghost of a smile crept over Cove's face, like the sun peeking out between the clouds of an overcast day. Oh? Whoa, I wasn't expecting this. Cove reached out and enveloped your hand in his, pressing your palms together tightly. The silence returned, just for a second. I am glad we came this morning, and that we came on this whole visit back.
I'm so glad.
But more than anything, I'm glad for ending up in this town in the first place, where I got to grow up with a really nice neighbor. I wouldn't have wanted any other life. Wait, is he? Oh, he is crying! He's got a tear in his eye! Aww. I didn't even notice that he was crying. Oh my gosh. I'm most grateful for meeting you. Thank you. Thanks for being here. I smiled at him. I'm most grateful for meeting you too. Cove looked over at you out of the corner of his eye, not turning his face away from the sea. His expression was full of affection, from the gentle curve of his smile to his clear, contented brow. It was a stark contrast to the tears rolling down his cheeks.
I love you.
Oh, I love you. You count yourself lucky, even though you were leaving now. This place had gifted you with so much that you carry with you whenever life might take you. The memories you made, the lessons you learned, the people you'd built relationships with, you kept those pieces of your life in Sunset Bird forever. You stood with Cove, silently watching as bright rays swept away the last of the night's shadows until day truly arrived. Your spirits were as high as the sun rose even higher in the sky. The two of you have found yourselves meandering back to the neighborhood, street and sandy feet, strolling down the path just as you've done thousands of times before. This is where it all started. You were compelled to look at the exact spot you first encountered Mr. Holden sitting dejected on the curb. Is this an instrumental version of the credits theme? Oh, it's so cool! He wasn't like that anymore. Still, you couldn't forget the day it began, just as you couldn't believe what an adventure it led to. Things had been discovered the same since that moment, and you couldn't be any happier for it. Your mental lingering on that meeting had turned physical, causing you to stop in your tracks. It was only when you heard Cove's voice calling your name that you remembered where you were and realized what you'd done. and what a present it was. A shining sun, a clear blue sky, Cove by your side, all the most natural things in the world. So what's the next step? You watched Cove expectantly, waiting for him to guide you from here. There was a crinkle around his eyes as he laughed. It's up to you now. You're giving me too much power, but I don't want it to be. You should pick. Climbed up, I don't know. Oh, exciting. You began to think of where the two of you should visit next. Cove perked up, energized by your enthusiasm. I'm listening. No matter how much time might pass, there were some things that you could count on to be constant. Cove, your family, his family, and all of your other loved ones for being there for you when you needed was one of those things since the beginning and for always. Knowing they were there, you would never be truly alone made the future look all that much brighter. Can we go to the Poppy Hill? Want to find somewhere private to make out? Do you want to keep walking and go through town? Want to grab something to eat? We should see who can reach the end of the street fastest. I just want to wait and see what happens. Can we go to the Poppy Hill? The view from there on a day like today would be magnificent. Not to mention that a part of you aches to return to the place where you first met. Cove nodded, his gaze shifting from you to roam across a little place that we both called home. There's a lot that's still out there in the world. A lot of different ways things could go in the future. But for this, I think that'd be perfect choice. You beamed, his approval for your suggestion lifting your spirits ever higher. Your days growing up in Sunset Bird had been so wonderful. Even the prospect of leaving made your chest ache. Yet you weren't going to let that stop you. It would be hard, but you knew that it would it would still be there waiting whenever you wanted to return. Facing Cove, who had been by your side through it all, you knew that one day you'd look back on these memories, now just as you fondly reminisced about your childhood growing up here. Each happy moment you experienced became only a memory of what it used to be, but that was what life was, and it was okay. As it was from the beginning and continuing that way for always, you took another step forward. Thank you for beginning a life here. Wait, is that it? Is this the ending? You can come back again and always. The end. Oh, this was such a sweet story. Oh, and it just pauses back at the menu. Okay, wow. Honestly, I was not expecting this game to be as amazing as it was, but you know what? It's awesome, and I love it. This is by far one of the most emotional games I've ever played. I fucking love it. I just love it. This is probably the greatest thing that's ever come from any game developers, and I love it with all my heart. If the devs are watching this, please know that I love this game dearly, and I would love to play anything else that you guys make. But with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here for now. So, thank you for enjoying this amazing journey with me, everyone. Please leave a like, comment what you think, share this with your friends, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss a single notification. I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!